All right. The phone call now in session. You may be seated.
The matter before the court is the State of New Hampshire versus William Argie. This is docket number 218-2019 CR 643. This matter is scheduled for sentencing. Mr. Argie appears in person and will counsel identify themselves for the record, starting with the state.
The state, Peter Hinckley, Attorney General's Office.
Heather Kaniski, Attorney General's Office. Caitlin Pernada, on behalf of William Argie.
Julia and I for Mr. Argie.
And Mr. Argie is present. I'm happy to hear from both sides, obviously. I guess I start with the state, and then I will turn it over to counsel and Mr. Argie.
Judge, this morning we filed with the court proposed sentencing forms for both of the charges on which Mr. Argie was convicted. With respect to the first-degree murder sentencing form, with respect to restitution, at the time that we submitted this form, we had an estimate that Maureen Argie's parents paid between $5,000 and $6,000 in out-of-pocket funeral expenses. That's why we have a cap of $6,000. I did not know at the time how much had been spent by the Victims' Compensation Board, so I capped it at $10,000. I have since been told that it was about $5,500. I still think that it's proper to say capped at $10,000, but if you or defense counsel wants me to amend that, I can certainly do that after sentencing. The only other matter that I had is that we do have numerous written victim impact statements that the family and the authors of these statements want to make part of the court file. I don't know if you want, subsequent to this hearing, for us to file these electronically, or we can submit those in hand at this hearing.
You could submit them in hand at this hearing.
Copies have been provided to defense counsel, so if I could vote.
You may. So Attorney Hinckley, I guess, are these going to be read into the record then?
Some of them are, and right now we have 4 people who plan to speak.
Okay.
I don't know if they're going to be reading from statements or reading from the heart or both.
Okay, thank you.
And we are ready to proceed with that portion of the sentence.
Okay, thank you.
The state has no comment on the proposed sentence. As the first-degree murder, it's a mandatory sentence. With respect to the other count, we did submit the sentencing form with respect to our proposal.
I'm happy to hear from you.
So first would be Aaron Gaudette. Oops, I'm sorry, Matt Gaudette. Apologies.
My name is Matt Gaudette. There is nothing that will make this emptiness go away or erase the pain of knowing the true anguish that Maureen was in before her life was stolen. I hope you, as the defendant, as you leave here to spend your remaining years in your hell that you deserve, you also know that someday your children will know the truth about what you did to their mother. You will no longer receive calls from your children or letters from your children. You will never see them on Christmas morning and see the utter joy and delight in their eyes. Instead, you have stolen their innocence. They will not ask about you or talk about you, and you will become a distant memory. You are a selfish, cowardly, pathetic person who deserves to die alone, miserable and locked away for the rest of your life. Your malicious actions in April 2019 not only destroyed your family and the life of your children, but also the many young children who have been subjected to a horrendous evil at such a young age. There are so many constant reminders of the terrible event that has consumed all of our lives for the past 2.5 years. My niece and nephew and my 2 children have all gotten familiar with having to visit the cemetery in order to talk to their mother/aunt. Oftentimes when we go to the cemetery to say hi, we bring cards for Maureen's birthday or on Mother's Day, bringing flowers and decorations that we put up for the changing seasons and holidays. We spend time there feeding the ducks and will leave little trinkets to adorn her grave overlooking the duck pond. I know Maureen is smiling down watching all of us as I seem to hear her favorite Smashing Pumpkins song when we visit with her or her children are with us. Maureen was killed trying to protect her children, supporting and loving her children, and she was brutally ripped out of their lives forever. We will never stop saying Maureen's name. We will never stop telling stories of the mother, the daughter, the sister, the niece, the cousin, or the friend that many of us came to know as Mo. And I sincerely hope that you never get out of prison alive. I'd also like to read from my 10-year-old son, Connor, asked how this has affected his life. He said, "One thing that changed is that I had to go to therapy a little bit after this incident happened. Over the past week, my parents have had to go to court 7 hours a day and would come home by 6 o'clock while my grandparents watched me." And he said his feelings are mad and sad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next person is Ann Gaudette.
My name is Ann Gaudette. I'm Maureen's mother. This is written to Maureen from me. How does one measure loss? How can I explain my loss to the court, to strangers? Shortly after you were killed, I wrote a list of your attributes and behaviors that I would miss. I keep them with me on my phone, but I found I didn't want my statement to become just an impersonal list of your characteristics. It needed a context. My answer is to write a letter to you. Others can read along or listen, but it is you I need to speak to. And there it is. I miss knowing I will never have another conversation with you. I miss talking to you. A phone call, an email, a quick text. I miss the chance to share news with you about family, friends, and acquaintances. I miss being able to ask your advice and opinions about so many things: clothes, recipes, health issues, family relationships. You were my sounding board when I had concerns or questions. I miss the opportunity to trade new recipes, provide ideas about mundane household tasks, to share book titles, to recommend TV shows to watch, to suggest experiences, to seek out and explore. I miss you at family gatherings, holidays, birthdays, various celebrations. You are missing and missed as a daughter, a mother, a sister, a daughter-in-law, a sister-in-law, a niece, an aunt, a cousin, a friend. I miss you as my companion, as together we watched Ella and Gavin enjoy the beach, play with their cousins, ride their bikes, go on adventures. Just being with you, watching the wonderful mother you had become. And I miss knowing you won't be there when I'm old. Selfishly, I want you to call me, ask me how I am, how do I feel, anything you can do for me. I miss being able to check in with you about you, your extended family, and your work. I miss catching up with you about Ella and Gavin's school experiences, their sports and other activities and interests. I miss watching you as a mother nurture and guide Ella and Gavin, steering them through their growing up years. You won't be able to share with me news about Ella's boyfriends and Gavin's girlfriends. I won't hear news of sports teams, games, and outcomes. I won't hear your excitement when Ella attends her first prom. I won't hear your stress when Ella and Gavin begin to drive. I hate that you will miss so many firsts and rites of passage that were yours to experience as their mother. I feel your absence at different times as something physical or emotional. Something as simple as a song, the weather, a phrase heard, a passage read in a book, a scene on TV will trigger a memory. And with each memory comes the emotion. It's a visceral feeling. I miss your presence. Memories of you help me to recall your feelings of happiness, aggravation, appreciation, anxiety, satisfaction. And the memories help me to remember the hopes and dreams you had for yourself and for your family. Sometimes the memory is so bold, so real, that the pain is like a physical punch. And sometimes the pain feels dull, like a film of sadness that will diminish my reactions to daily lives, daily events. I believe my heart will always have a scar. During one of our last conversations, I told you that you were strong, that you would get through this tough time of separation and divorce. I told you that you had an inner strength and you were resilient. I told you that Ella and Gavin would be all right because of you. But did I tell you how much I admired you? Putting together a photo album for Ella and Gavin after your death, I was filled with pride and admiration for the work you did in AmeriCorps. My favorite picture of you is standing on top of a roof on a house, wearing your tool belt, working with Habitat for Humanity. So brave you were to go away to an unknown area with team members you had never met. So much you accomplished, repairing trails in the Appalachians, tax preparation for seniors and low-income people, clothing drives for the needy, painting rooms indoors and buildings outdoors at schools and churches for youth groups, replanting dune habitats in the Outer Banks. You showed such strength of character and determination to realize your goal. After your death, your friends and colleagues reached out to our family. Did you know that in Billerica there is a beautiful tree, a Donald Wyman crabapple tree, planted in your memory with a plaque acknowledging your dedication and work ethic? The tree changes colors seasonally as a visual reminder of you. And in Methuen, the community room is named in your honor with your picture. And at Gallagher Park in Lynn, Auntie Kathy had a memorial bench installed in your memory as a place parents and caregivers could rest as they watched their children at the playground. There have been many donations and contributions to charitable groups made in your memory. My circle of friends continue to express concern and provide tangible support to our family. How you would have hated all that attention, but how you impacted so many people. This loss has affected relationships within our family and within our friends. I feel lucky to have Dad as we try to navigate through this horrific experience. I feel blessed with Matt, Erin, and my 4 beautiful grandchildren. They are a reason to celebrate family, but my heart remains heavy. Joy and happiness are lessened, and optimism and positivity are tempered. Your death changed our whole family. Now we are critical as we strive to celebrate. We are negative when we strive to be positive. We're sad when we strive to be happy. We cry when we seek to laugh. We are impatient when we strive to be patient. But we will continue to move forward, holding on tightly to each other. I will try to embrace your legacy of compassion and care for others as I move forward on this uncharted journey. But sadly for me, what I wish for and can never have is to see you, talk to you, hug you, tell you I love you. This is my loss. My heart is broken for Ella and Gavin. I feel sad, upset, angry, and heartsick about the impact of your loss on Ella and Gavin. It is just not right what happened to them, to have their mother taken from them, their entire world upended, their lives changed forever. I will do my best to ensure that they know all about you, the child you were and the adult you became. I will let them know of the immeasurable love you held for them and that you were the center of choices that you made. And I will try to foster your spirit of helping others in need through examples and hands-on projects with Ella and Gavin. My fervent prayer is that you did not suffer, that you did not feel any pain or hope, that you were not aware of what was happening, as it upsets me so much to think of you gasping and scared. I am thankful, grateful, and proud to have been your mother. I would not have changed that fact. You were a blessing in my life, and I will carry you forever in my heart. I love you.
Judge next is Kathy Ehrenberg.
Hello, my name is Kathy Ehrenberg, and I'm Maureen's aunt. There are days that I sometimes think that my niece Maureen's murder at the hands of her husband William Argie was only a nightmare. That isn't something that would ever happen to my family. Then reality sets in that Maureen is no longer here, and I will never see her again. As time goes by, it does not get easier. It devastated me to find out that she was living in a fearful relationship, and I was not able to help her. Words cannot express the anguish I experienced upon learning of Maureen's death and continue to experience. This horrific murder has left a hole in my heart. Not a day goes by that I don't think about Maureen. My family has lost a mother, a daughter, a sister-in-law, an aunt, a cousin, a niece, and a goddaughter. Our lives are forever changed. Maureen's smile lit up a room, and I will never see that again. Maureen will no longer be at holidays and family events to laugh and to share family stories with. She is missed so much. Maureen was an important part of our family. Maureen loved her family and most of all loved her children, Ella and Gavin. They loved their mom and miss her very much. Maureen also left an imprint in the lives of many friends, co-workers, clients who will forever miss her. As a social worker, she spent her life making life a little better for others. My heart breaks for Ella and Gavin, who went off to school that day, happy little kids. By the end of their school day, their lives have changed forever. Their mother's life had been taken at the hands of their father, who took off and could not be found. They were displaced from the only home they knew. The home where their clothes and toys were became a crime scene, a tragic event for me to process. Imagine a 6- and 9-year-old trying to process their mom was no longer alive, their father missing, and they could never go back home. Ella and Gavin's world has been shaken. Their father has stolen their childhood. It was their father's responsibility to love, to care for, and to protect his children as well as his wife. Instead, he took their mother's life and abandoned his children. Neither I nor Ella, Gavin, her parents, or brother had a chance to say goodbye to Maureen. We were not able to tell her that we loved her. Maureen will never be there for her children's school events, birthdays, holidays, and so many other lifetime events. I will feel that pain of loss of her absence at each event. The emotional impact of her death will be felt for a lifetime by her children, myself, and her family. I sometimes think of that night that William Argie took Maureen's life, how Maureen must have struggled to live for her children, how Maureen became gradually lifeless at William's hands, and we were not able to help her. William could have stopped, but he wanted to intentionally murder Maureen. William Argie is a heartless and self-centered murderer. He has not taken responsibility for the murder of his wife, Maureen Argie. He pretends to be something that he is not. He has no regard for human life. I welcomed William Argie into our family with open arms. I thought that he would love, protect, and always have Maureen's back. I told him that if he didn't, he would have to answer to me. Well, he failed Maureen, Ella, and Gavin. William Argie needs to be held accountable for the intentional murder of his wife, Maureen Argie, while his children were in the house. He has shown no remorse for his criminal actions. I am seeking justice for Maureen, who will never come back to us, and asking the court to sentence William Argie to life in prison without a chance for parole for the intentional murder of Maureen Argie. This sentence would be a small price to pay for taking Maureen's life and for the pain that I and my family feel and will continue to feel for her loss every day. Although Maureen is not with us physically, she is in our hearts. Maureen will never be forgotten. She has left us with 2 gifts, Ella and Gavin, who are a part of their mother. I will always love her and cherish the time that I had with her.
Thank you.
Next judge is Aaron Claudette.
Good morning, I'm Maureen Gaudette. I'm Maureen's sister-in-law. April 2019, we didn't lose just one person. We lost so much more. The world lost a mother, a sister, a daughter, an aunt, a godmother, a niece, a cousin, a co-worker, a friend, and an angel. While the world carries on, we do not. There will ever be a void missing in the Gaudette family and so many friends and family lives, and in beautiful Ella and precious Gavin's life that will never be filled. Maureen to me was a sister I never had, a friend, and when I became a mom, I feel our bond became much closer. She gave me guidance and taught me in her actions and in her words how to be a kind, patient, loving mother. She came to me in confidence to talk about her marriage, and yet would hold her gentle, caring composure about the kids every time, as they would not see her mother hurt. All that have sat through this trial were able to hear kind words spoken about Mo. However, it will never do justice to how strong she really was and the love that radiated from her being for her children, friends, and family. It is not just the obvious things that impact our lives since we lost Mo, like her birthday on October 26th, or mourning her anniversary of her death on April 4th. It is the little things that hurt the most. the irreplaceable moments. How many times I have picked up the phone and went to text or call Mo about anything. I have numerous times realized I needed her help surprising my husband with her famous apple crisp recipe that he loves. She would send it to me immediately because I never saved it, thinking she would just be there to send it to me again when I asked. I go to book trips with the family and realize I can no longer call to invite her. When I go to share pictures of the boys or share funny stories about them, there is always that one contact I no longer put on the chain, nor do I get back a response from her, a joyous, proud aunt, or funny, witty response. I lost my go-to at family parties to just sit and laugh with about crazy family happenings. She always made even the most stressful moments seem at ease despite her own issues. I used to sit there and watch for her to mess with her father, Joe, just to get him going. She would give me the look before she would do it. That was her way of showing him how much she loved him. When I see Ann, her mother, I'm reminded where Mo got her gentle, kind, loving, tender side from. I see Mo eternally in Ann. Every year, Mo and my other sister-in-laws would help me cut the boys' birthday cakes because they knew I was horrible at it and would ruin the cake. Seems like such a small thing, but every time I cut the cake now, I fail it. We would give her clothes from our corner for Gavin, which in return she would give back for our youngest Sullivan. The last bag she gave us in February of 2019 still sits in our kitchen untouched. Mother and Father's Day has lost some of its meaning over the past few years. I sit and wonder what comfort I can give my in-laws that day, but nothing will ever make it 100%. No parent should ever have to go through what Ann and Joe have to daily. What hurts the most is seeing and being able to physically feel the pain coming from my husband, Matty. Maureen was his best friend. He used to get so excited to speak or text with her. I used to joke with Matty I would see him in a few hours when he would talk with her. They could talk for hours about kids, work, recipes, families, anything. They shared a bond that was truly a blessing to watch, filled with love and respect. There isn't a day that has gone by in the last 2.5 years that my husband has not hurt. He goes to the cemetery every weekend. She guided him on how to be an unbelievable father to our boys and husband to me. For someone defined as so quiet, her love towards our family spoke loud volumes. I know he will never fully heal. We are told daily to not feel guilt, and there is nothing else we could have done. If you ask anyone who took the stand this past week, or is here representing Mo, or try to help her through this nightmare, the guilt will never leave our lives, and that is a cruel, everlasting punishment to us all. My family loved Mo. I had 3 older brothers, and despite, once again, portraits of the quiet Mo, they used to mess with her and treat her like her sister at family events. They treated her like me, messing with her, getting her to laugh, hang out, and get loud. They would expect nothing less from her. They see the hurt in Maddie, and also Maddie is their brother. They are not just saddened by her loss, they are angry. My father would not leave Mo alone until he got a laugh out of her. He would yell her name out loudly at family parties just to get her to laugh, knowing that she might be a bit embarrassed, and it worked every time. They have always loved Ann and Joe like family and are angry for them. My mother called me every day before Mo's passing, just making sure she had plans for Easter. She was saying she would save a plate, and she would tell me daily there would always be an invitation for her at the house. Mo was family to my family. My mom was expecting me to tell her about Mo's plans for Easter, not about her passing. They are also forever scarred with the rest of us. Now to Mo's nephews, me and Maddie's sons, Connor and Sullivan. I've had to explain to my boys that yes, there is real evil in our lives and reassure them that they are forever safe and protected. I must explain to my innocent 10-year-old Connor, Mo's godson, that yes, he lost his aunt forever and he will never be allowed to see the defendant again. It is truly unfair to explain to your child so early the real reason why his aunt is in heaven and how they'll always have a special guardian angel looking over them, no matter how special you make it sound. Our 4-year-old, who was 2 at the time of Mo's passing, knows of her to live in the sky and the cemetery. He was ripped of the opportunity to meet such a beautiful soul. Mo was so excited when he was born. She was proud to be the only one to call him Van the Man. I know Kelly can also still see her smile every time she would say it, as Kelly is the only one who says it now, carrying on Mo's nickname for her nephew. She was so damn proud of that name. And despite our efforts of keeping our oldest away from this trial in the news, he sought more answers and turned to the internet. We had to explain to him the other night what suicide was and why they would say such a horrific, made-up story about Auntie Mo. Why would he hire a hitman to do this? Suicide and hitman should not be conversational pieces a mother and father should be having with their 10-year-old. Yes, this is the effect the defendant had on his nephew. What my kids feel is incomparable to what my niece and nephew feel. We are fortunate to be able to spend so much time with Mo's kids, even without her here. Every time we have Ella and Gavin, I must think, what would Mo want me to say and do? I must make sure they never use or show hate, the hate that's so selfishly and maliciously bestowed upon all our lives. Ella asked me a few months back in front of the other kids, did I like her dad? So much emotion and words ran through my head in a matter of seconds. However, I had to answer without hate. I simply said I didn't know their father anymore, and I truly loved and missed their mother. They will learn no matter how angry you are, no matter how nothing else seems to be the way, hatred and hurt cannot and will not be the end results. Mo would expect nothing else from us. And to finish today, I had a few last notes for the defendant. A couple reminders of what you think you have taken from Mo when your actions have taken them from yourself and your precious children. You will never experience the joy of hearing the pit-pat of your children's footsteps, running to the tree filled with joy on Christmas morning. You will never play in the snow with them again or watch them run to the shores of a beach. You will never be there to hug and high-five Gavin after he hits another home run or give Ella flowers before one of her dances. You will never teach them how to drive. You will not be there to celebrate an amazing report card. You will not be there to pick out colleges with them. Gavin will never have his mother's son dance, and you will not walk Ella down the aisle. You will not walk Ella down the aisle. You will never hold their children in your arms, your grandchildren. You have ripped so much from our lives, however, the real damage you did was to your own life. And this is a lifetime of thoughts I give to you in your cell as you think about for the rest of your life. Thank you.
This is all for the state's presentation, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Argie, would you like to address the court?
Of course, Mr. Argie.
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, to address my mother-in-law and father-in-law, pain at the feel the loss of their daughter and wife, our precious Maureen, being a parent. There's no words that can be spoken. However, the cruel injustice that's been done here in this trial, there's been multiple errors. Statements have been said that Maureen is looking down. I believe that with all my soul. I also believe that Maureen and I believed in a Heavenly Father that is also looking down, also knows the truth, and not to bring any more pain or suffering to this. However, there is an appeal process. I will be taken forward into that action. Thank you.
Anything further from the defense? Attorney Hinckley, anything further from the state? Okay. I'll first impose sentence, and then I have a few comments that I'll share. Mr. Argie, upon finding of guilty as it relates to the charge of falsification of physical evidence, case ID 1698230C, you are hereby sentenced as follows to the New Hampshire State Prison for not more than 3 nor less than 1.5 years. There's added to the minimum a disciplinary period equal to 150 days for each year of the minimum term to be prorated for any part of the year. It's to be served stand committed, commencing forthwith. 911 days of pretrial confinement credit. This will run concurrently with the sentence I will impose on the first-degree murder charge in 1698229C. You are further ordered to participate meaningfully in and complete any counseling, treatment, or education as directed by probation or corrections. You're allowed to be awarded earned time reductions. Law enforcement can destroy or return evidence to its rightful owner. You're to be of good behavior and comply with all terms and conditions of my order. As it relates to the first-degree murder charge, you are hereby sentenced as follows: to not more than life nor less than life, and you shall not be eligible for parole. There is again added the disciplinary period, as I've already noted. You're again entitled to 911 days of pretrial confinement credit, and that is stand committed, commencing forthwith. There is a restitution obligation that is set forth in the addendum, which the state has commented on. The addendum will include $6,000 to be paid to the Gaudets for funeral expenses, and further paid a cap of $6,000 to the New Hampshire Victims' Comp Program for funeral expenses. Restitution is going to be paid through the Department of Corrections as directed, and to commence immediately. At the request of Mr. Argie or the Department of Corrections, a hearing can be scheduled on the amount and method of payment of restitution. Any such request has to be made within 30 days of today's date, or it'll be deemed waived. And Attorney Hinckley, have you provided documentation to the defense relative to those requests?
The restitution request, Judge?
Yes.
No.
Okay. Would you do so within 10 days?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Judge, with respect to the cap fee for New Hampshire Victims' Compensation Program, are you amending the...
I am. Yes, thank you. Again, you're to participate meaningfully in and complete any counseling, treatment, or education as directed. You'd be of good behavior, comply with all terms of my sentence, and law enforcement can destroy or return evidence as needed. So, Mr. Argie, do you understand the sentences that have been imposed on you today?
I do, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions you'd like to ask me relative to those sentences?
At this time, Your Honor, the only thing is there is still some property and discovered in my possession that will not be destroyed, that will be returned to me.
I'm not sure what you're asking, sir. You have property that's in your possession at the House of Correction?
That's at the Rockingham County Jail.
Your property at the jail is your property at the jail?
Yeah.
Right.
So that will be returned and not destroyed.
Right, yeah. Unless there's something else, Attorney Nye, that I'm misunderstanding. Is there something else I'm misunderstanding?
No, I just,
Okay. I'm talking about property held by the police department.
I misunderstood, Your Honor.
That's okay. Obviously, with your comment about appeal, I assume the state will take some discretion as to what they do with any evidence that's been seized, so that it remains available as they go through the appeal process. And so anything further from counsel as it relates to the sentences imposed today?
No, Judge.
Okay, thank you. So I do have just a few words to share. To the Gaudet family, my condolences to you. Your loss is deep and it's raw. rightfully so. This was such a senseless, tragic, awful event. There are words that are not in our dictionary to convey what we all know you're going through. I hope you find some solace in the words that you heard from the witness stand, from every single witness that testified who spoke about Maureen. The list was endless as to their complimentary adjectives, culminating in the word saint. I heard her spoken of as kind and thoughtful and calm and strong and understanding and patient and conscientious and hardworking. There was not a negative word said about Maureen from any witness who testified during the trial, save Mr. Argie. And you should be so proud of that, and I hope find some small solace in what you heard from the witnesses. Mr. Argie, the evidence against you in this case was overwhelming, as evident by the swift verdict that was rendered in this case. Your selfish, narcissistic, and possibly addicted-fueled behavior led to the devastation of your family. Not just your mother or your sisters or the Gaudettes, but most importantly, 2 small children. The ripple effect is going to be lifelong. Every time someone speaks of family in front of your children, they're going to relive this pain. In school and social activities, the inconsequential discussions of, well, what does your dad do for work? Is your mom going to be joining you at this school event? Every single time those issues are raised, every time they have to fill out a form, they're going to be stabbed in the back once again. You did this, not Maureen, not the state, not Dan, not Jamie, not Ray, not your mother, not your sisters. You. I am so sorry that you did not have the courage and the strength to let Maureen go. I am sorry that you made the choice you did on April 4, 2019. I hope from the bottom of my heart that you someday will realize and accept the consequences of the actions that you undertook that day. And at that point, maybe you and your family, your kids, the Gaudettes, will find some small, minuscule amount of peace. You're remanded to the custody of the sheriff, sir. Thank you.
All right. Maybe Susan.
So I know we have to extend the charge.